The email shimmered on my laptop screen, a mocking, casual wave goodbye to every dream I'd ever held. Tesla keys under the mat, honey. Love you both. Subject: surprise. My blood ran cold. What would you do if your own father handed your future to someone else on a silver platter, or rather, a gleaming electric chassis? It all started innocently enough, years ago. My college fund. A nest egg, $75,000, slowly accumulated birthday by birthday, Christmas by Christmas, tucked away with promises whispered into the dark. Law school, sweetheart. We'll make it happen. Dad was always so earnest. He'd ruffled my hair, his eyes crinkling at the corners, a small smile playing on his lips. He'd tell me about his own missed opportunities, how he'd always regretted not pursuing his own legal aspirations. So, I studied. I devoured textbooks. I aced every exam, driven by his belief, fueled by that unspoken pact. Now, that pact felt like ashes in my mouth. The stepmom, Brenda, was newish. 5 years, maybe? She was shiny. Everything about her gleamed. Her perfectly white teeth, her immaculately highlighted hair, her designer handbag that probably cost more than my first car. She'd flutter her eyelashes at Dad and coo things like, "Oh, honey, you work so hard," while I was slaving away at my part-time job at the campus library, shelving books and dreaming of torts and contracts. I tried. I really tried to be welcoming. But there was always this undercurrent, a subtle dismissal in her eyes, a barely perceptible tightening of her lips when I spoke about my ambitions. I remember the day I got accepted to law school. I practically vibrated with excitement. I called Dad, breathless, expecting the usual effusive congratulations. He was reserved. "That's great, honey," he said, his voice oddly flat. "We need to talk about finances." The red flag should have been the size of Texas, but I was too caught up in the moment, too naive to suspect the impending tsunami. The talk happened over dinner, at a ridiculously expensive restaurant, naturally. Brenda picked at her salad, her diamond earrings catching the candlelight. Dad cleared his throat, avoided my gaze. "So, honey," he began, "about law school." He launched into a convoluted explanation about unforeseen expenses, rising inflation, the stock market. It was all a blur of financial jargon, a smokescreen designed to obscure the truth. Then he dropped the bomb. "Brenda's been so good to us, to this family. She deserves a little something." "A little something?" I echoed, my voice barely a whisper. "Dad, we're talking about my entire college fund. $75,000. He flinched. "Don't be selfish, Olivia. Brenda's happiness is important too." Selfish. The word echoed in my head, bouncing around like a rogue pinball. Selfish? For wanting the future I'd been promised? For wanting to fulfill the dreams he'd encouraged? I stared at Brenda. She offered a small, insincere smile. "It's a Tesla, darling. Very eco-friendly." Eco-friendly. As if that justified stealing my future. I felt a surge of anger, hot and blinding. I wanted to scream, to overturn the table, to unleash every ounce of fury that was simmering inside me, but I didn't. I swallowed it all down, a bitter pill of betrayal and resentment. I worked harder, picking up extra shifts, desperately trying to salvage my dream. I applied for every scholarship, every grant, every loan imaginable. The rejection letters piled up, each one a tiny dagger twisting in my heart. Dad avoided me, his guilt palpable. Brenda, however, seemed to relish my misery. She'd drive past my bus stop in her gleaming Tesla, a smug smile on her face, the electric motor humming a silent taunt. One day, while shelving books, I overheard a conversation between two law students. They were discussing internships, summer programs, connections. They were talking about their futures, bright and limitless. A wave of despair washed over me. I sank into a chair, tears stinging my eyes. Was this it? Was my dream dead? Was I destined to spend my life shelving books, watching others achieve what I could only imagine? I confided in my best friend Chloe. She's always been my rock, my voice of reason. She listened patiently as I poured out my heart, my voice cracking with emotion. When I finished, she looked at me, her eyes blazing. "You can't let them get away with this, Olivia," she said fiercely. "You deserve better." Chloe's words ignited a spark of defiance within me. Maybe she was right. Maybe I couldn't just roll over and accept my fate. The problem was, what could I do? Suing my own father felt wrong. Publicly shaming him would only hurt my family, my younger brother, who was blissfully unaware of the drama unfolding. I felt trapped, caught between my desire for justice and my loyalty to my family. What would you do? Graduation was looming, a crimson sunset over a ruined castle. The date loomed closer, the pressure building with each passing day. It was supposed to be a celebration, a culmination of years of hard work. But for me, it was a reminder of everything I had lost. Dad and Brenda were coming, of course. Brenda had even bought a new dress for the occasion, a shimmering silver number that probably cost more than my textbooks. I spent weeks agonizing over what to do. Should I confront them? Should I ignore them? Should I just pretend everything was fine? The thought of smiling and posing for pictures with them made my stomach churn. But Chloe kept reminding me, "Don't let them steal your joy, Olivia. This is your moment." The day arrived, hot and humid. The air crackled with anticipation. I walked across the stage, received my diploma, and forced a smile for the cameras. I spotted Dad and Brenda in the audience. Brenda was beaming, her diamond earrings sparkling in the sunlight. Dad looked nervous. He kept glancing at me, his eyes filled with a mixture of guilt and apprehension. During the reception, everyone kept asking about my plans for law school. I dodged the questions, offering vague answers and forced smiles. I felt like a fraud, pretending to be excited about a future that was slipping through my fingers. "Okay, spill," she said, her eyes narrowed. "What are you going to do?" I took a deep breath. "I don't know," I admitted. "I'm so tired of fighting. Maybe I should just let it go." Chloe shook her head. "No way, Olivia. You're stronger than that. You can't let them win." She grabbed my hand, her grip firm. "Remember what you're fighting for." Suddenly, an idea sparked in my mind. It was risky, audacious, maybe even a little crazy, but it was the only way I could think of to expose the truth without causing irreparable damage to my family. I smiled, a genuine smile this time. "I think I have a plan," I said. As the graduation speeches droned on, I excused myself. I found the microphone that was attached to the main stage. I checked to ensure it was live. My heart pounded in my chest. This was it. There was no turning back. My hands trembled slightly, but I straightened my shoulders, took a deep breath, and spoke. "I would like to thank my father and Brenda for their support throughout my education. You both have made me the woman I am today." I paused, allowing the crowd to cheer before continuing. "I would also like to share that my success wouldn't be possible without the $75,000 that was so thoughtfully spent on Brenda's beautiful Tesla. It inspires me every day to work hard and achieve greatness." The crowd was silent, stunned. I saw my dad's face pale and Brenda visibly stiffened. I continued, my voice steady. "You see, everyone, my dad always told me to follow my dreams. So I plan to do just that. He also believed in sharing and being grateful, which I am. I am so grateful for the support of my family and friends, and of course, I am especially grateful for the Tesla my dad bought, because it's going to auction to pay for my law school." I stepped away from the microphone, allowing the stunned silence to permeate the air. I had done it. I had exposed the truth without resorting to bitterness or revenge. I just stated facts plainly for everyone to consider. The aftermath was a whirlwind. My dad was furious, Brenda was mortified, and my younger brother was confused. But I didn't care. I had taken control of my narrative. I had refused to be a victim. I had shown them and myself that I was capable of anything. The auction was a success. The Tesla sold for even more than I expected. the community rallied behind me, offering support and encouragement. I received an outpouring of donations and offers of help. I was overwhelmed by the kindness of strangers, the power of collective support. I got into law school on a full scholarship. I worked hard, excelled in my studies, and graduated at the top of my class. I landed my dream job at a prestigious law firm. My relationship with my dad is complicated. It will likely never fully recover. But we're working on it. He's seeing a therapist, trying to understand the choices he made. Brenda is out of the picture. Years later, I started a scholarship fund for students who have faced similar challenges. I wanted to give others the opportunity to pursue their dreams, regardless of their financial circumstances. I wanted to create a world where no one has to choose between their future and their family. My life is far from perfect, but I'm grateful for every challenge, every setback, every moment of doubt, because it's those moments that have made me who I am today. A strong, resilient, determined woman who refuses to give up on her dreams. So, what's the final verdict? Did I forgive? Yes, eventually. Forgiveness isn't about condoning their actions. It's about freeing myself from the weight of resentment. It's about choosing peace over bitterness. And honestly, the success that followed felt like the sweetest revenge. It proved my worth and determination and that I could overcome any obstacle. I'm now a successful lawyer, helping people who are wronged. It's a dream come true, and one that nearly didn't happen. Write what you would choose. Like and subscribe if my story inspires you. The scholarship application process was brutal. Essays, transcripts, recommendations. It felt like reliving the whole nightmare, only this time I wasn't just fighting for myself, I was competing against hundreds of other deserving students. I remember one particularly grueling night, fueled by lukewarm coffee and sheer desperation, staring at the blinking cursor on my laptop screen, trying to articulate the emotional wreckage my dad's actions had left behind. How do you quantify heartbreak in terms of GPA? How do you explain the weight of shattered expectations on a scholarship application? I wrote until my fingers cramped, pouring out my story, raw and unfiltered. I described the betrayal, the disappointment, the burning desire to prove myself. I talked about my dreams, my aspirations, my unwavering commitment to justice. And then I hit submit and held my breath. Weeks turned into months. Silence. I started to lose hope. Maybe I wasn't good enough. Maybe my story wasn't compelling enough. Maybe the world wasn't as fair as I wanted it to be. Then, one ordinary Tuesday morning, the email arrived. Congratulations, Olivia. We are pleased to inform you that you have been selected as a recipient of the Justice for All Scholarship. I burst into tears. Relief, gratitude, vindication. It was all too much to process. I called Chloe immediately, my voice trembling with emotion. I got it, Chloe! I actually got it! She screamed with joy, and we spent the first day of law school was surreal. Walking through the hallowed halls, surrounded by bright-eyed, ambitious students, I felt a sense of belonging I hadn't experienced in a long time. But the shadow of my past still lingered. I couldn't shake the feeling that I was an imposter, that I didn't deserve to be there. I worried about what people would think if they knew the truth about my college fund, about my dad, about Brenda's Tesla. Would they judge me? Would they pity me? I decided to keep my story to myself, to focus on my studies, to prove myself through hard work and dedication. But secrets have a way of surfacing, don't they? One evening, during a study group session, the conversation turned to finances. One of my classmates, Sarah, was complaining about her student loans, her voice laced with frustration. It's just so unfair, she said. My parents are loaded, but they refuse to help me. They say I need to learn the value of hard work. I bit my lip, trying to suppress the urge to share my own story. But Sarah's words struck a chord within me. I couldn't stay silent any longer. You know, I said hesitantly, my situation was a little different. I proceeded to tell them everything, about my college fund, about Brenda's Tesla, about the auction, about the scholarship. The room fell silent. They listened intently, their faces etched with a mixture of shock and sympathy. When I finished, Sarah spoke first. "Wow, Olivia," she said softly. "That's incredible. You're incredibly brave." The others nodded in agreement. They admired my resilience, my determination, my ability to overcome adversity. They didn't judge me. They didn't pity me. They supported me. What would you do in my place? Would you trust your friends? It was a turning point. From that moment on, I felt like I stopped hiding my story, and I started sharing it with others. I discovered that my vulnerability was actually my strength. My experiences resonated with people. My story inspired them. I became a voice for the voiceless, an advocate for the underdog, and it all started with a betrayal, a Tesla, and a whole lot of courage. The years flew by. Law school was challenging, demanding, and exhilarating. I immersed myself in my studies, devouring every case, every statute, every legal theory. I joined the moot court team, honing my advocacy skills. I volunteered at a legal aid clinic, helping low-income individuals navigate the complexities of the legal system. I thrived. I excelled. I discovered my passion for justice, and I never forgot where I came from. As graduation approached, I received an unexpected invitation. My dad wanted to take me out to dinner, just the two of us. I hesitated. Part of me wanted to refuse, to punish him for what he had done, but another part of me longed for reconciliation, for closure, for a return to the father-daughter relationship we had once shared. I accepted. The restaurant was quiet, intimate. The atmosphere was thick with unspoken emotions. We sat in silence for a few moments, avoiding eye contact. Then, Dad spoke. "Olivia," he began, his voice strained. I wanted to apologize." He looked at me, his eyes filled with remorse. "I know I messed up. I made a terrible mistake. I let you down." Tears welled up in my eyes. It was the first time I had heard him acknowledge the pain he had caused. "I understand if you can't forgive me," he continued, "but I want you to know that I'm proud of you. I'm proud of everything you've accomplished." I took a deep breath. "Dad," I said softly, I forgive you." The relief that washed over his face was palpable. We talked for hours that night, about everything and nothing. We reminisced about the past, we discussed the future, we laughed, we cried. It wasn't a perfect reconciliation, but it was a start. It was a step in the right direction, and it gave me hope that one day we could rebuild our relationship, brick by brick. What would your path have been? Would you rebuild or move on? My first case as a lawyer was a pro bono case. A young woman, Maria, had been wrongfully evicted from her apartment. She had a child, a little boy named Leo, and they were living in a homeless shelter. Maria was scared, overwhelmed, and desperate. She came to me, hoping for a miracle. Her story resonated with me. I saw myself in her vulnerability, in her determination to protect her child. I knew I had to help her. The legal battle was long and arduous. The landlord was ruthless, his lawyers were aggressive, and the system seemed rigged against Maria. But I refused to give up. I worked tirelessly, poring over legal documents, interviewing witnesses, and preparing my case. I spent countless nights working late, fueled by coffee and a burning desire to see justice served. Leo would often come to the office with Maria. He was a bright, curious little boy with a mischievous grin and a contagious laugh. He would draw pictures for me, tell me stories, and generally brighten my day. He reminded me of what was at stake. He reminded me why I had become a lawyer in the first place. The day of the trial was nerve-wracking. I stood before the judge, facing the landlord and his team of lawyers. I presented my case clearly, concisely, and passionately. I argued that the eviction was illegal, that Maria had been treated unfairly, and that she deserved to be compensated for her suffering. The landlord's lawyers countered with their own arguments, attempting to discredit Maria and portray her as a problem tenant. The judge listened intently, his expression inscrutable. After hours of testimony and legal arguments, the judge announced his verdict. He ruled in favor of Maria. He ordered the landlord to pay her damages, to cover her legal fees, and to provide her with a new apartment. Maria burst into tears. She hugged me tightly, whispering her gratitude. Leo jumped up and down, clapping his hands with joy. It was a moment I will never forget. We had won. We had achieved justice. Maria and Leo moved into their new apartment. It was small, but it was clean and safe. It was a place they could call home. Maria got a job, and Leo enrolled in school. They started to rebuild their lives. They were happy. Seeing their transformation filled me with a sense of purpose and fulfillment. I knew I had made a difference. I knew I had found my calling. What would you find fulfilling? The firm where I worked was impressed with my success in Maria's case. They offered me a permanent position, a generous salary, and a promising career path. I was thrilled. I had achieved my dream. But I soon discovered that the world of corporate law was not as glamorous as I had imagined. The work was demanding, the hours were long, and the pressure was immense. I spent my days drafting contracts, negotiating deals, and representing wealthy corporations. I was good at it, but I wasn't passionate about it. I missed the sense of purpose I had felt while working on Maria's case. I started to question my career choices. Was this really what I wanted to do with my life? Was I really making a difference? I confided in Chloe. She listened patiently as I vented my frustrations. "Olivia," she said, "you're an amazing lawyer, but you're not happy. You need to find a way to align your career with your values." Her words resonated with me. I knew she was right. I started to explore other options. I considered working for a nonprofit organization or starting my own law firm. I spoke to other lawyers, seeking their advice and guidance. I spent months searching for the right path. One day, I stumbled upon an article about a legal aid organization that was providing free legal services to immigrants and refugees. The organization was struggling to keep up with the demand, and they were desperately seeking volunteers. I felt a spark of excitement. This was it. This was my opportunity to use my legal skills to make a real difference in the lives of others. I contacted the organization and offered my services. They were overjoyed to have me. I started volunteering a few hours a week, assisting immigrants and refugees with their legal issues. I helped them apply for asylum, navigate the immigration system, and fight deportation. It was challenging work, but it was incredibly rewarding. I felt like The legal aid organization offered me a full-time position. It was a significant pay cut from my corporate job, but I didn't hesitate. I accepted the offer without a second thought. I knew I had found my true calling. I was, and I had never been happier. This decision was monumental, leaving my family surprised. Was this a direction you expected? How would you feel about it? Working with immigrants and refugees opened my eyes to a world of injustice I had never fully understood. I met people who had fled war, persecution, and poverty, seeking safety and opportunity in a new land. I heard their stories of hardship, resilience, and hope. I saw the challenges they faced, the discrimination they endured, and the obstacles they had to overcome. I became their advocate, their voice, their champion. One case that particularly affected me involved a family from Syria. The parents, Ahmed and Fatima, had witnessed unspeakable atrocities in their homeland. They had lost their home, their family, and their livelihood. They had risked their lives to escape to the United States, seeking a better future for their children. They arrived in the U.S. with nothing but the clothes on their backs and a burning desire to rebuild their lives. But they faced a complicated and bureaucratic immigration system, language barriers, and cultural differences. They were struggling to find housing, employment, and health care. They were isolated, vulnerable, and scared. I took on their case, determined to help them navigate the complexities of the immigration system and secure their legal status in the U.S. I spent countless hours working on their asylum application, gathering evidence, and preparing them for their interview with immigration officials. I became their friend, their confidant, and their support system. Ahmed and Fatima were grateful for my help. They trusted me implicitly, sharing their deepest fears and hopes. They told me about their dreams for their children, their desire to build a safe and stable life in the U.S., and their yearning for peace and justice in their homeland. Their story inspired me. It reminded me of the importance of empathy, compassion, and solidarity. It motivated me to fight for the rights of immigrants and refugees. The day of their asylum interview was filled with anxiety. Ahmed and Fatima were nervous, but they were also determined. They answered the immigration officer's questions honestly and truthfully, recounting their experiences with courage and dignity. I sat beside them, providing support and encouragement. I ensured that their rights were protected and that they were treated fairly. After the interview, we waited for months for a decision. The uncertainty was agonizing. Ahmed and Fatima were constantly worried, fearing that they would be deported back to Syria. I reassured them, telling them to remain hopeful and to trust in the system. Ahmed and Fatima were granted asylum. They were overjoyed. They wept tears of relief and gratitude. They hugged me tightly, thanking me for my unwavering support. It was a moment of triumph. We had won. We had secured their future in the U.S. Ahmed and Fatima started to rebuild their lives in their new home. They found jobs, enrolled their children in school, and began to integrate into their community. They were grateful for the opportunity to live in peace and freedom. They never forgot the horrors they had witnessed in Syria, but they were determined to create a better future for themselves and their children. What would you do for your own safety? Their story inspired me to continue fighting for the rights of immigrants and refugees. I became an advocate for immigration reform, speaking out against discriminatory policies and promoting humane solutions. I worked with community organizations to provide resources and support to immigrants and refugees. I dedicated my life to helping those who had been displaced, marginalized, and forgotten. I found fulfillment in my work, knowing that I was making a difference in the lives of others. I was using my legal skills to create a more just and equitable world. And it all started with a betrayal, a Tesla, and a whole lot of courage. My work as a lawyer also led me to reconnect with my brother. He had always been a good person, but he had never fully understood the challenges I had faced. After I started working with immigrants and refugees, I shared my experiences with him. I told him about the stories I had heard, the injustices I had witnessed, and the people I had helped. He was moved by my stories. He started to volunteer at the legal aid organization, assisting me with my cases. He discovered his own passion for justice. He became an advocate for the rights of the marginalized. Our relationship deepened. We became closer than ever before. We shared our dreams, our fears, and our hopes. We supported each other through thick and thin. We became a team. How can justice bring a family closer? As I reflect on my journey, I realize that my life has been shaped by unexpected twists and turns. I started out with a clear plan, a dream of attending law school and becoming a successful lawyer. But my plans were disrupted by a betrayal, a Tesla, and a whole lot of courage. And now, my journey has taken me on a completely different path. I am not the lawyer I thought I would be, but I am a lawyer who is passionate about justice, who is committed to helping others, and who is determined to make a difference in the world. I have learned that life is full of surprises, that setbacks can lead to opportunities, and that even the most difficult experiences can shape us into stronger, more compassionate individuals. I am grateful for everything I have been through, for the challenges, the triumphs, and the lessons learned, for the support of my friends, my family, and my community, and for the opportunity to use my legal skills to make a positive impact on the world. I can imagine many would consider me lucky to be where I am now. What do you believe is the value of luck? One of the most rewarding aspects of my work is mentoring young people who are interested in pursuing a career in law. I often speak at schools and community centers, sharing my story and inspiring them to follow their dreams. I tell them about the challenges I have faced, the lessons I have learned, and the importance of perseverance. I encourage them to believe in themselves, to never give up on their goals, and to use their talents to make a positive impact on the world. I emphasize the importance of education, hard work, and ethical conduct. I tell them that the legal profession is not just about making money or gaining power. It's about serving justice, protecting rights, and advocating for those who are marginalized. I share my experiences working with immigrants and refugees, helping them navigate the complexities of the legal system and secure their legal status in the U.S. I tell them about the stories I have heard, the injustices I have witnessed, and the people I have helped. I emphasize the importance of empathy, compassion, and cultural sensitivity. I encourage them to learn about different cultures, to understand different perspectives, and to treat everyone with respect and dignity. I also talk about the importance of mentorship. I tell them that having a mentor can make a huge difference in their career journey. A mentor can provide guidance, support, and encouragement. A mentor can help them navigate the challenges of the legal profession and achieve their goals. I share my own experiences with mentors, how they have helped me overcome obstacles, and how they have inspired me to become the lawyer I am today. I offer myself as a mentor to any young person who is interested in pursuing a career in law. I provide them with guidance, advice, and support. I help them with their applications to law school, their job searches, and their professional development. I connect them with other lawyers and professionals in the field. I help them build their networks and gain valuable experience. One of my mentees, a young woman named Aisha, is particularly inspiring. Aisha grew up in a low-income neighborhood facing many challenges and obstacles. She was determined to break the cycle of poverty and achieve her dreams. She worked hard in school, excelled in her studies, and earned a scholarship to a top university. She was interested in pursuing a career in law, but she didn't know where to start. She contacted me, seeking my guidance and support. I became her mentor. I helped her with her applications to law school, her job searches, and her professional development. I connected her with other lawyers and professionals in the field. I helped her build her network and gain valuable experience. Aisha excelled in law school. She became a leader in her class, advocating for social justice and promoting diversity and inclusion. She secured a prestigious internship at a leading law firm. She graduated at the top of her class, earning numerous honors and awards. Aisha is now a successful lawyer working at a nonprofit organization, providing legal services to low-income individuals. She is making a difference in her community. She is inspiring others to follow their dreams. I am incredibly proud of Aisha. She is a shining example of what can be achieved through hard work, perseverance, and mentorship. Her success inspires me to continue mentoring young people and helping them achieve their full potential. What positive impact would you want to leave behind? As I have grown older, I have also started to reflect on my relationship with my dad. We have come a long way since the Tesla incident. We have rebuilt our relationship brick by brick. We have learned to forgive each other, to understand each other, and to appreciate each other. He has changed.